Now on to a story of Usama Hamed. He is a student that was studying abroad at Northwestern in Qatar, that program. Then a sophomore, Hamed was tipped off by some suspicious circumstances surrounding a local mall fire. He actually went out and filmed the fire and then decided to go back. While investigating the fire in May of 2012, Hamed was arrested by the local Qatari police and held in custody for 10 days. After the scuffle, he accused Northwestern of abandoning him during his time of need. He told RT, "The issue in my case was of a misunderstanding, which took time to clarify since Northwestern University in Qatar failed to intervene. The reactions of the Qatari authorities were understandable, and I was able to clarify after some struggle my situation." So was Hamed hung out to dry by Northwestern University, or is the story more complicated than that? To talk about this, I'm joined now by Charles Rollet. He's a student at Northwestern who's been covering this story for the school newspaper. Hey there, Charles. Thank you so much for joining me. First of all, can you explain the story a little bit more?
Sure, yeah, and just to clarify, he's not studying abroad, he's actually just a student at their campus there. And yeah, so I basically started writing this piece because I wanted to write about freedom of expression in Qatar in general, because last November the government sentenced a poet to life in prison there. And during an interview with a Northwestern professor about freedom of expression, we were talking about the difficulties students face reporting there, and he mentioned that a student last year had actually gone to jail for 10 days and been beaten for crossing a police barrier. So after some investigating with my co-author, Annalise Frank, who was in Doha at the time, we found the student and interviewed him about it.
Now, at the same time, Charles, having read your article about the situation, there was a few suspicious details that were setting off alarm bells in my head. I was wondering if you had noticed anything suspicious about this story.
I mean, yeah, what he says basically is that at first, when he, a week after he was jailed for 10 days, and when he got out, not thanks to the university, he went to the administration and basically asked for help. And when he did that, he was told, quote, "Northwestern University does not help or support criminals." And one of them even said, if this was the main campus, we would have actually taken measures against you. I mean, Northwestern's point, their point of view is basically that what he did was a criminal act anywhere going behind a police barrier. But in my story, he says that there was no police barrier and there was no clear indication that what he was doing was criminal. And to be fair, the university at first sent a government relations officer, but in the end, Usama said that the officer just was following up and couldn't actually do anything.
Now, at the same time, Charles, just to go over some of the things that I found in the report, first it said that he had seen pictures online. So he said in your report that he assumed that authorities were not there. Not only that, but when a police officer told him to stop, he disobeyed it. He also ran away from police officers and hid for a time. And then beyond that, he signed a paper saying that he was guilty. And also another point to bring up is that Northwestern did respond. They actually did send somebody out. So it seems like nobody is completely innocent in this case. Just using your journalistic senses, is that what you noticed as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a very complicated case. I'm not, Northwestern did send an officer out, but of course he says that it didn't help much. And he did sign those papers, but he says that when he signed papers, there was no lawyer or translator present in Qatar, so he signed a lot of them without reading.
Sure.
So it's a complicated case, but it is true that legally, according to the Qatari authorities, he was violating a crime.
Now, beyond that, I know that the dean, Dean Dennis, he had also offered to testify at this young man's case as a character witness, and that was turned down. And also, when they did send somebody out to the jail, that the father excused the university and said, "We no longer need your help." So just looking at some of these, and also one other point that I do want to bring up is that he was in a, let me look for it just a second, he was in a freedom of speech city. Now, when a young student goes to another country, they're expected to abide by their rules. So what experience could have made this, I guess, situation different?
I mean, it's called Education City actually, and what makes it complicated is that within Education City, people are pretty free to report on things, but outside in Qatar, the conditions are different. So.
And the fact of the matter is that he was outside of that Education City when he was reporting on this, am I right?
Yeah, he was, and it wasn't for a class, which is what the university says means he didn't, get that much support.
So at the end of the day, he was not doing this report for the university, and
No,
yet.
just a student.
Okay, all right, great. So finally, just have to ask you, how would you have liked to see, or how does he describe he'd like to see Northwestern have acted differently?
I think he just said basically that they needed to be more courageous in this area because it is a journalism school, and it's kind of weird because Northwestern Qatar promotes media freedom, but a lot of the time they don't do it within Qatar. They do it for other countries like Libya or other places. So I think he basically said if they had been use their connections with the higher ups in Qatar, the situation might have been better.
Charles Rollet, student with Northwestern University. Thank you for bringing us that story, and keep us updated as it unfolds.
Sure. Thank you very much.